Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. The last chance qualifier is coming up in a couple of weeks time, and rumours are emerging that the new patch update 7.0 with Deadlock will be utilised for that tournament in a couple of weeks time. This means Deadlock is available. This will be affecting the practice the pros are currently going through, and also Sentinels with the leaked scrim it seems against Leviathan, who seem to be getting the better of them. Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Now first of all, we start here with the Ascension Pacific with monstrous technical delays yesterday. VALORANT and technical delays go hand in hand. They have done for a long time, and certainly this season, but this was arguably the worst of the lot. The Ascension Pacific tournament was completely compromised yesterday with hours and hours of technical delays. They played their first game, and within around about 20 rounds or so, it had to be paused because the servers dropped. They couldn't get them back. The casters were there not knowing what was going on. I think it took around about 5 hours to get that first series complete, and they kept soldiering on for the rest of the day, despite the fact that the servers were completely dead and it just didn't really work. Like, I don't know how this happens, to be honest, but it was an absolute disaster. They've refunded tickets for those who attended in person. I don't know why you would have stuck around, unfortunately. I mean, it was just an absolute shambles. And I believe the final game of the day that was played, so they were meant to play way more games than just this, but this is the group stages so far. They managed to play 3 matches on the day that took forever, and I'm pretty sure this final game between Bonkers and Scars finished at something like 3 AM local time. Like, they just powered on, and you know, the players I'm sure must have thought, guys, please just let us go to bed or something and let's reschedule it when the servers are going to work. But no, they powered through. Scars got the win. So you know, fair play, keeping composure for those guys in those conditions, and Xerxia got the win 2-1, and so did Naos here. But I mean, yeah, still, what an absolute shambles. So hopefully they can sort that one out, because the group stages are meant to go on until July the 4th. They've got a few days to kind of account for this, but nonetheless, that was not the day they were looking for. Speaking of the Asian region, though, we've got to talk about China. Some big updates coming there last night, with the game officially launching on July the 12th in China, because it's currently in a beta state, and it will be fully playable, right? So this is where Edward Gaming, who have been looking very good, they might, well, you know, over time get even better, especially if the competition in their region increases, as you would expect it to, and therefore they can improve even further as well, as will some of the other teams in the region. So I think it's a little bit ominous, maybe in part for the rest of the VALORANT world, in the sense that Edward Gaming and other teams are likely to get even stronger event by event from now on, but anyone taking down Fnatic is still going to be a challenge. This, though, is the release of the game. So there's only going to be 4 maps in the game here. I'm pretty sure that it's Bind, that you can't quite see on the left-hand side here, then Ascent, Haven, of course, and Split. Those are the 4 maps in the game, and then these are the agents at the top here. So Sage, Reyna, Jet, you know, Killjoy, etc., etc. With these 6 agents getting, I think, excluded. So I'm pretty sure what's going on here is that these on the left-hand side are launching with the game, and then Astra, KO, you know, Yoru, Fade, Deadlock, and Gecko, they will come down the line with possibly the other maps as well. So pretty interesting stuff. Not exactly sure why, the reasoning behind this, but they're keeping it a little bit more simple in China for the release of the game. Also, they did mention that the intention is to get China to the VCT. Now, exactly what that means, just because there are presently 10 teams per region. The Americas, Europe or EMEA, and then the Pacific region, right? 10 teams in each. 1 team will join from the qualifier, from the, you know, Ascension qualifiers that are currently going on, and unfortunately getting heavily delayed in the Pacific side. But how is China and the VCT going to work? Are they going to do like an entire Chinese league with 10 Chinese teams, or are they going to try and integrate somehow into the VCT Pacific? But I don't know what that means for the teams that are currently there. So still some questions to be answered on this one. But one positive sign, actually, is that there is going to be some sort of built-in recording tool in the game for the Chinese client only, but probably this is just for now. So there's something in the game which is going to allow you to, I mean, look, this should have been in the game since release, let's be honest, some sort of demo viewer. People have been asking for it for years. Some sort of replay thing that I don't understand why it's not been a thing so far. Even, you know, some way old school games used to have this that were built on, you know, far less time and far more limited budget. But it's finally arriving, and yeah, okay, maybe it's not going to be spectacular, but it's been in development for some time, and as Sean Gare says, replays coming soon. So there's some sort of recording replay software for matches in the Chinese version, which you would therefore expect will get tested out there, and then it will probably be rolled out to the rest of the game as well, you would think. But according to Mike at VALORANT Leaks, it's still in development for the main client. Their replays are like the Overwolf thing that you see sometimes. So replays should be early next year. That's the present rumor. They have a working working system now, apparently. So yeah, maybe it's different in the Chinese Valorant client than it will be in the main one. So it might be longer than we'd hoped for, but still at least a sign that things on that one are going in the right direction. So I wanted to mention for you guys actually some action that was going down last night. I thought this is a pretty unfair 5-stack actually that you know, Durka, Yampi, Leo, and Safe. I mean, good luck coming up against this one in ranked. But actually, it was Tarik on stream trying to find out what Sentinels are up to. He reveals a scrim they were playing up against a mystery team and a mystery player. But we'll dive into who it might be here in a second. And they were down 7-13. Doesn't mean that much, but what it does mean is they are practicing, which Sentinels will do, they will like to do. But also they've got to think about what agent are they practicing with.
Playing against anyone we know.
Is this door broken?
I don't know. Probably not.
No, it's not.
Holy fuck, when did I get so many friends?
I ain't giving shit up.
Wait, we're losing a scrim. No.
Got it. I got the bomb.
Wait, who is that?
One enemy remaining.
Who the fuck was on our
Spike
team?
down,
Oh, it's Marv.
attacker spawn.
Right? No, it's not Marv.
I'm whiffing
Oh,
right
it's
now.
fucking...
Got it.
Oh, it's the other team. That's the other team. I don't know if I have Pankata added.
Alright, now we take off my alarm clock.
Last player
Cannot hit
standing.
blood. I cannot
Taco
hit him.
Wait, it's 1v1? What the Nice.
Okay.
So if you guys look up this account, Tagod Lila at the end, you guys probably already know where this is going. That this is very likely to be Taco from the Leviathan roster, right? Because if we look at his page here on Valorant Tracker, we can find that he's pretty much always playing on the Jet, as Taco does. And we can see in recent... So it's probably just an alternate account of this player in question here, who is primarily on the Jet and has not been spectacular lately, but over the past 90 days has been a little bit better, and over his career has been pretty damn good. So yes, their results haven't been good at all, but they were still a very scary roster at the start of the season. I still remember pretty vividly, actually, when Som, I think, said during Sao Paulo that the best team they practiced against was these guys. They started off very strong in the Americas, but they finished in a pretty weak manner, right? They qualified for the playoffs in the end, didn't make it that far, and therefore that leaves them in the last chance qualifier. So probably that was who I reckon Sentinels were practicing against. Makes sense, I suppose, because they're not a team that's on their side of the bracket. Sentinels aren't going to play against 100 Thieves in their practice scrims before the tournaments because they're going to play them in the very first rounds. So, okay, it doesn't matter, it's just a scrim result and just numbers on a screen, but I thought it's interesting just to see those teams practicing, especially when they have to figure out, are they going to be using the new patch update or not? The rumour has it that for the LCQs around the world, and for Game Changers too, patch 7.00 will be used. So usually what they do, I think here, is that, you know, because I'm pretty sure that Kaplan said recently that he reckons that Deadlock won't be used at the LCQ, but it's certainly going to be used, you think, at Champions. So maybe there's a point that if you're going to use it at Champions, it should be used at the last chance qualifier anyway, and usually their theory is 2 weeks, I think. They release the agent, and then 2 weeks later, that's after that grace period, effectively, that's when the patches start coming into play for professional games. But with so much changing and with so much going on in Valorant right now, it's quite difficult to determine when it actually should come in and when it shouldn't, because Deadlock arriving in for the LCQ, Deadlock might not be that viable. We don't really know right now. The opinions seem to change every day on it, whether it's going to be like Harbor, which he wasn't viable initially before he got buffed, but or whether she actually is useful, because more people are finding lineups day after day, which could be valuable. So it seems like for the LCQ, Deadlock is going to be available. That's what the rumours say. Despite the fact that some sources say differently, but I think based on their usual interpretation here, this is probably going to be the case, that it's going to be there at the LCQ, which is a pretty big deal. And I just thought this is interesting as well, how they, Riot recently did confirm, I mean, if you're trying to destroy this barrier orb, it takes so long, it's actually kind of absurd, right? Because they revealed that, okay, they were going to reduce the ammo in the Vandal and the Phantom to stop spamming. Yet if you want to take down this barrier orb, it takes you so many bullets to shoot it, it actually kind of is outrageous. And there's also some other things, like we see these lineups, for example, where if you put this barrier mesh thing up at the back of the site, any defender trying to play here just gets stuck in, effectively. And there's not that much they can do about it, because it takes so much to shoot this thing out. So, you know, interesting, right? That every day people are figuring out new ways to use this. I thought this is quite an interesting idea as well here, actually, in terms of preventing players from rotating in or from retreating, right? If you get a player in this position, they're stuck in this doorway. They can't retreat with this in play. So that actually is quite an interesting you know, feature there that might well be viable. And Ethan seems to have changed his mind again. He initially said she was very good, then he said she was terrible, and then he changed his mind last night and said, never mind, top 5 agent. So who really knows what's good and what's bad? But if it is usable as it seems to be at the LCQ, they will have to figure that out pretty swiftly indeed, because, you know, if they're not practicing with it now, the teams that are might well find themselves with some degree of competitive advantage. Just wanted to look at this real quick as well here, actually, the Brazilian studios that Riot have got going on for the America's Ascension tournament, and we can see some of the setup here, but also look at this. The stages of one player and, well, of course, both the teams are very close together. Like, this player and this player are pretty much sitting right opposite from each other, and I don't really mind this, right? It makes things pretty spicy. They can talk up and talk trash, but they are right next to each other, which is maybe pretty interesting, right? Even as Chet says, what is this stage setup? Yes, I am talking about how close together the players are, and, you know, as Nismo says, time to whisper call-outs and strats, because fundamentally, you're sitting here, you're trying to call strats with your boys. Like, the other guys are going to hear you, probably, if you don't whisper it. So, you know, maybe not ideal, but nonetheless, I don't think it's going to affect things all that much. But very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.